Hey guys and gals, what is good? What is good? How you doing today? How are you doing this fine day? Let's go! Appreciate you. Shebang! I don't know where I was going with that, but you guys, gals, lurkers, twerkers, those that are sandwich making workers, Johnny with Whiskey Tango Sharp Coating, I appreciate you. Thank you for hitting that play button. Let's go! Let's go! Yes, it says a lot to me about who you are as an individual because you hit the play button. So yes, mad respect. I'm just going to say that. Let's get into it. I'm running a little bit behind today. Well, I was earlier, but but now, running a little bit behind. So we got to kind of speed things up here a little bit. Appreciate you. We're good there. Just want to do quick mod stuff and make sure we're good. So we got, yes, perfect. All right, awesome. Turn it up. Excuse me, guys. Okay. Quick shout outs. I've got everything kind of in chat. Yeah, I think we're good there. Let's see. A couple more quotes for you guys in chat because I like to keep you inspired and motivated. Yes. Must do that. Yes, that's right. All right, it's a couple of good quotes. You're going to have to be part of the stream to see them. So let's go! Turn that up. Shoutouts. Get the right file here. Let's go. And we'll get into this. Is this the right one? Yes, we are on the right one. Let's go. Throwing it out this time for you YouTube followers. Thank you for the support. I do my live streams on Twitch, yes. The videos are only good on Twitch for a week, so therefore equals I export them to YouTube. So that is great, right? I want to be able to do that. Have the content saved so you guys can watch it, which is great. Let's throw it out for Nap. YouTube guys, gals, Nap. Vision with the $S. Let's go. Peter N. or Petter N. Caesar Rojas. Welcome. My guy, Tech Dave 99. How you doing, brother? WX87. Flawless Hack. Salt of the Earth Ministry. Bless, brother. And Ayawi. I hope I got that right. But welcome. Every single one of you. Yerp. I don't know why I said that. I just thought I would throw it in. Turn it up. Let's go. We're going to do this. And we're going to get going. That's right. That's for you guys and gals, supporter of the channels. Johnny Whiskey Tango Sharp Coating, I appreciate you. I must let you know that I do. All right, it's time. guys and gals, it is time. It's time to do some learning. That's probably why you hit the play button, because you want to learn. That's great, man. That's amazing. I love that. I love that. That's so awesome. C++ coding is what we're doing over here. Going basically from the basics, step by step, guys and gals, talking about, all the little fine details of general coding, line coding, creating statements, syntax, all the good stuff, theory, you name it. Just as a heads up to let you guys and gals know, this is a lecture, also known as a class. That's what we're doing over here. So sharpen your pencil, pull out your binder and your lined paper, and get ready to take some notes. Let's go! Quickly, to let you guys and gals know, I am using, what's my medium? That is Visual Studio. It's a free IDE. It's great. Great IDE. I love it. And Microsoft Visual Studio Community version is what you're looking for if you are grinding code at home, guys and gals. Thank you, Microsoft, for that. Yes, that's huge. I love it. I love the fact that I'm able to use this software and learn and grind coding. It's amazing. I am so grateful for that. Appreciative. And I'm sincere about that. I really, truly am. Otherwise, I'd be staring at my 1988 27-inch CRT television screen, drooling from the mouth, sitting on my couch with cheesies all over my lap, drooling and watching Bob Barker. Let's go, guys. Let's go. Turn it up. All right, we're going to get right into this. Flick the old switch in the brainium cranium. It's time to learn, guys and gals. Again, Johnny here. Whiskey, Tango, Sharp. Coding, okay? I know it starts with whiskey. There's no alcohol going on over here, okay? Alcohol-free content. All right? Just letting you know. Just in case some of you thought the otherwise, okay? What's it called anyways? There's a term for it. It's a military term. I'm just looking for it. What? Get lost. Phonetics? Yeah, phonetics. NATO phonetic alphabet. Okay? WT, Whiskey Tango. You get it? Guys, gals, you understand? Let's go. That's what it is. Okay, so we are doing, it's great to have you. It truly is. Thank you for learning and growing along with the channel. Whoever you are, wherever you are, those of you that are watching the content and following this series, lecture, class, it's great to have you. Thank you for learning along. I'm going to do my best to, be kind of quick. That's hard for me. I'm trying, working on it. Okay, again, over here teaching, sticking to the topic. This is what teachers are supposed to do. I don't want to go down that road, but that's what I'm doing. Teaching. We're sticking to topic. There may be some stories, aside stories, maybe some jokes and laughs, but that's about it. Okay, and we're learning over here C++. It's a great language to learn. maybe challenging for, some. That's okay. I'm here to help. I'll take that extra step to try to, maybe I over explain. I don't know. I feel like I do. It's possible that I do. I don't know. But honestly, I really want to make sure that you guys fully understand. So if I kind of go repetitive and on, just bear with me. Appreciate you. Again, if you get it and you understand, you can just skip forward. It's great to have you, and then you could kind of just continue on, right? And with the future content, the future. I'll see you in the future. It's great to have you. Let's go. The conditional ternary operator. Okay, we're kind of going over this again quickly because I must, right? And let's learn the conditional ternary operator. It's great, guys and gals. I love it. It truly is. It's so nice, and it's clean, and it looks good in code. It's a beautiful thing. The condition operator, and they have I'm going through the course outline, okay, guys and gals? Bit of an older course outline. That's fine. It's great material. Again, the theory and that doesn't really change. Like, things do update with coding, but the basic general theory and line coding is, for the most part, unchanged, okay? Okay, the conditional operator (:) is C++'s only ternary operator. That is, it is the only operator to take 3 terms. Oh, amazing. The conditional operator takes 3 expressions and returns a value. That's what's great about it. Okay, so I have already kind of written something here for you. I just read that. In their example, they have expression, but really I call it so here we go. We're learning now, guys. Anytime we have parentheses or brackets, functions and methods will have these too, right? Once we get it, that's the next section. So it's great to have you. Stay tuned. We're going to get into functions next. With the brackets, its purpose or use is for putting in arguments, okay? In this case, with the ternary operator, it would be conditions. Really, you're just essentially putting in arguments, okay? They're really the same thing, just it's written maybe in a different format or whatever is going on. It just depends on what you're doing. Okay, so this is where you put your, in quotes, arguments, right? Or your conditions, ? And then you have if this is true, whatever is true here will be returned to the console. If it's false, then it just chooses the other one. That's essentially how it works in a nutshell. It's great. So for example, let's say I'm just trying to get the terminology in my head right. These are called what are they called again? Statements, not statements. There's so many different terms for all these. They're using the word expression. I don't know. Maybe it'll come to mind, but let's just call them conditions, okay? That works for now. Let's see. I just kind of was scrolling through this, but I figured I'll just go back to where I was and we'll just continue on. Okay, guys? So condition, and then you have kind of like an A or a B type situation. That's what these are. So there's a couple of things you could do. You could either have it return a string value or a string literal. And it's going to be an A or a B, right? If this is true, this will return. If this is true, this will return, right? Or you could have it return a value, or or, you know, like a whole number or whatever it is, right? That's a value. Okay, so you have a couple of options on what you want returned. So going to that, let me close this because I don't think I need this anymore, and it's just extra stuff in my way. Okay, so, and then I'll quickly talk about if statements, if else as well. But I'll get into that after. Okay, so let's get into talking about the ternary operator. This is my document that I've been slowly putting together over the years. It's pretty much a reference manual or a guide for C++. I'm going to need an editor. I'm doing all the work, but yeah. Anyways, 148,000 characters so far and still growing. And I'm sharing it with you guys and gals, okay? I also have this on GitHub as well. In chat, you can actually !GitHub, and you will get my link. Isn't that amazing? Lurkers and twerkers, great to have you here. Thank you for dropping by. Appreciate you for checking it out. The content, that's so awesome. Superb of you. That's amazing. I love saying that. Okay, programmers use the ternary operator for decision making in place of longer if and else conditional statements. So I kind of, with that said, now I guess I could show you in code, but that's, you kind of have a couple of options, okay? You can use if else. If you've been following along, we've gone over some if else statements, right? Now the key point here is you use a ternary operator. In this case, you only have two options, right? If it's this or else it's this, right? So if you're only going to have an if else, and I'll show you an example so you fully understand what I'm talking about. It's kind of like, right? Because you could have more if else's. You could have if else if, and it could go on. It could get out of control. Let's be real, okay? With if else's. But if you only have just one if else statement and you're like, you know, I don't feel like using it today, I want to use a ternary, you have that option. And that's the great thing about a ternary, okay? And it's nice and clean. If you look at it, everything's one line. And I could show you, you can do the same thing with an if else statement, but you have to kind of follow a format with coding. Companies have a certain, I've shown this in past prior videos, like the way you lay out if else statements. And here's an example, okay? So there's specific styles, okay? That's one style, right? And then you have another style, which I'm using now. I hit enter first, and then I'll go down here, else, hit enter first, and then hit my curly brackets. So it's another style. So you can't really one-line these, right? Ternary's nice because you can one-line it. So, for example, I could put, and I'll just put some notes in here for now. Block of code, right? All right, it would do that because I'm using, Okay, I can't do that because it's recognizing it as, part of the comment. That's why things get returned. Okay, so there you go. Now you understand why things are getting returned. I don't mean to use the word returned or entered, right? The layout of this is what I'm talking about. But you can do everything one line. You could, Okay, excluding comments, of course. And then you could have an else. But again, this is something you would do at home yourself. If you wanted to one-line everything, you could. That would be your own preference, guys, gals. In all honesty, I think companies are going to want you to use the one of the two styles. Okay, I don't know myself. I've worked for, in an office environment before, so I do understand kind of how they roll. But they might have like what would it be called? Guidelines, specific standards that you have to follow. Okay, so I guess I recommend that you kind of learn a style and pick a style and go with it. That way, if you choose to work for a company in the future, and I wish you the best of luck in that endeavor or dream, you may have to work a little harder than the next guy to prove yourself to get that, position. But I believe in you guys. Okay, you can do this. All right, stay positive. Okay, so with that said, going back to this, okay, my point after saying all that and explaining it to you, you can see that a ternary operator is all one-lined. So it's nice, it's cleaner in code, it's more appealing to the eye, and it's a lot more human readable. That's another reason why the if else's are probably entered, organized or you enter your curly brackets, which I just showed you. Mostly for, you obviously can't do comments if you do that, for one. That's why you have to enter and drop down your curly brackets. And two, doing that also, it's easier for the eye to read. Human readability, right? Okay. We haven't really got into talking about the theory too much. I don't think we have. I have a lot of theory we could go over. But I'm trying to move forward with the course outline. I think we'll eventually get there. If I have to jump back and forth between theory and talk about some theory, I will, guys. Okay? Stay tuned. All right? I appreciate y'all. I truly do. Okay, so you have a comparison. The first is a comparison argument. The second is the result upon a true comparison. And the third is the result upon a false comparison. Yeah, that's right. Okay. My bad if I said it wrong earlier. But yes, that's what it is. Okay. If one is true, it'll print the true section. If it's false, it'll print the other one. That's how it works. I apologize on my mistake in saying that earlier, but that's how it works, and it's great. Again, it's nice and clean. So here I have a data type double with a variable called marks, where I call this a user prompt. Okay, you're prompting the user to enter some marks, right? Because let's be real, you're creating programs for people to use. And you kind of got to give them a heads up. They need to know what, you have to let them know what to do, right? Otherwise, who's going to use your program? Right? And then the user enters a value, and that gets stored into the variable. And then it gets put in. See, here we're using a string result, right? So we're creating a variable that'll store whatever's on the right-hand side, right? If you guys and gals have been watching, you'll know, right? I've been talking about this. Left-hand side equals right-hand side. You have to do this sometimes, especially if you're working with int functions. You may have to create a new variable. But we'll get into that with functions. You'll see what I mean when I get there. So we have to actually, right? All this is going to happen kind of under the hood when the program's run. And then the compiler is going to pick one of these two based on truth, right? It'll print this if it's true. If it's not true, it'll print the other one. That's the great thing about the ternary. It's beautiful. Then it'll store it into results, and then you have to obviously return that to the user by actually returning the value. Okay? So with that said, that's kind of what's up. If else conditions, I wanted to briefly talk about that just quickly, and just talk about something else. I've been working on a project myself, and I got a few if else and nested if else's and such going on in my program. And I said to myself, because in the beginning when you're learning, you're kind of adamant about certain things. And one of those things for me was, I'll get rid of this and I'll explain what I'm trying to get at. So I'm just going to put, okay, and then I'm going to go like this. So we haven't really done many else ifs. Okay, and they also take arguments as well. Okay, and I asked myself, do you have to end your else ifs with an else statement? And let me bring something up here. This is kind of some extra information for you guys and gals, okay? In case you were wondering. For me, my brain, old school brain, my old school early learning C++ brain I would come up. I used to think that you had to have one, right? It's kind of like matching, right? Sort of thing, but you don't. So the question is, do you have to end else if with an else in C++? The answer is no. You do not have to end an if else. If you have them chained too, even if you have them chained, this is called chaining, right? You can have more else ifs. I could go on forever with else ifs until the cows come home, right? And so if none of these are met, right? If none of these are met, even including the if it doesn't go into the if block, then obviously it's going to go into an else block, right? It's going to go into one of them, right? If the if fails, it's going to go into the else if block. Okay, that's how it works. Okay, that's kind of what I wanted to get into, right? And you may ask yourself, do you have to end with an else? You don't. Okay, but let's say all of these fail. Okay, it just depends on your code, right? Right? Maybe your code is limited, and maybe it's going to at least output one of them, right? I could have more else ifs. Let's say I have multiple, for example, right? One of these three are guaranteed to run, okay? If one of these three are guaranteed to run, you don't need it, okay? But if you do want something to return, it could be something like, I don't know, just depends on your code. We may get into doing try catches and such. I don't know, it's hard to say. But you could actually maybe put in your own try catch. Like, I don't know, you could put something like, it's not really a try catch, guys, but you could have maybe a code error or something. Maybe you wanted something like that. Maybe it was a user data, a user entry fail or something. User entered, code error, I don't know, something to that effect, right? You get the idea? So the main point is you don't need one at the end of an else ifs. And again, I could chain these forever. But if you do want something, you could maybe use like a simple string output or something. Okay? But it also depends if you have return, if you're inside of a return method too, right? That being an int or something. Okay, that's all I wanted to talk about with else ifs. Okay? So here's the main thing. While an else block is often included to handle cases where none of the preceding if or else if conditions are met, it is not a syntactical requirement. Okay, that's the key word there. It is not a syntactical requirement. The else block is entirely optional. All right, guys? A little bit tips and advice here for you. All right, back to learning. Let's keep going. I got to pay attention to the time here and speed things up. Let's grind some code quickly, and we're gonna type an else if, but we're also gonna do a ternary. Okay, so I need to create some new variables. And I'm just initializing them all to 0. Okay. What the heck? Oh, I see what happened. Okay. Oh, wow. That's amazing. Must have really derped there. Okay. All right. So we're going to get, I'm going to create a couple of user prompts. Okay. And let's ask the user. So here's a heads up to the user. User, please. I don't know. I like doing this for fun. 2 whole numbers, something to that effect, right? Now we're being clear to exactly what we want them to do, right? You may have to do that sort of information. Depends on your data type too, right? But in this case, we're not too worried. Okay, and then we'll go something like this. This. I can't even speak. Sorry, guys. There. Okay. I want what? I know what it is. You can see it. There. Okay. All right. There. And now we're gonna go. Oh goodness gracious. CN. Watch your signs when you're doing this. Right now we're gonna get whatever value the user enters to be stored into X. Okay. And then okay, and then I'm just going to copy this to save some time, second value. Okay, fix this up quickly. All right, and then Y. Whenever you guys and gals copy, okay, here's my tip. Immediately update the information, okay? Let's say you have other thoughts in your head going on. I don't know, you could give yourself to-do notes, okay? Right? If you have lots of thoughts going on, just give yourself some quick to-do notes. Maybe do some brainstorming on how you're going to build it. But as soon as you copy and paste something, immediately update whatever changes that need to be done, right? So that you don't, because in the industry, it's not recommended. It's not highly favored to do copy and paste, apparently, okay? Because, I mean, we're humans. It's easy to oversights, right, guys? Right? Maybe your brain's thinking forward. Maybe you're like doing 4D coding, right? You're in another dimension, but you're thinking like already in the future, and you're typing in the moment. You understand? So things can happen or be missed. Another thing to point out is, so I'm going to do this so that I have an enter. I'm going to put one right there. Okay, so when I run this, I'm going to have an enter here. The cursor is going to go here. And then I have an enter here. Okay, perfect. That should work. And then now I don't have an enter here. So here's a quick tip. I stream and O stream, okay? C in is an I stream and C out is an O stream. With an O stream, you can have standard end line, right? Take note of these little details. Okay, I kind of went over this yesterday, but I'm going to recap. Okay, I think this is important. I don't want an end line here because I want the cursor to be flashing right beside in this line here. Hence why I don't want to use one. Okay, so the value is going to be entered, but then I don't have an enter yet. I need another enter. Okay, you cannot, with a iStream, you cannot have a standard end line after. Okay, it's just the way it is in the code behind, just the way it is. Okay, so never put a standard end line. It doesn't even matter. It could be, it could be a single enter, or it could be a double enter. Neither one of those do you put behind the variable in a C line statement or a C in statement. I gotta catch the way I speak sometimes, I swear to God. Okay, so nothing behind, that's the point. All right, so let's say you need one. Well, it's easy, guys. You could just go standard C out, and this is legal. This is a legal statement. There you go. There's your enter right there. Just C out, console out, character out, a standard end line. Simple. Now you have a choice. You could go with a single new line. That's the problem with having something highlighted, right? If you want just a singular one, use a singular one. If you want a double one, a double new line, depends on what you want, right? Double quotes, okay? All right, let's keep going. So that's how you get your enter after user prompting, okay? Now we're gonna get into an if-else block, okay? So this is just our first example, and then we'll do a ternary, okay? If, and then we're gonna have an else as well. Now, guys, if you've been following, okay, you have a couple of options. If you just have only an if-else, you can do this. If X is greater than Y, no curly brackets, we're just gonna leapfrog, I call it leapfrogging, X into Z. And because it's only 2 lines, you can do this. The compiler is intelligent enough to know that this belongs to the if and this belongs to the else. The curly brackets are very organizational. They're for your block of code, whatever you want outputted. Okay? I don't recommend this if you're going to have multiple if-elses, okay? I recommend, for me, myself, I just like it with curly brackets. My brain can read that better. It's just visually better for me. Again, you can go with this style. That's your choice, right? That's another way of doing it. This is acceptable. It's industry acceptable. And so is this style, okay? Industry acceptable. Just depends on the company. I like using curly brackets with my if-elses, okay? Let's continue. So it's just a simple if-else. So we don't know what the values are yet. They're 0 right now, okay? I initialized them to 0. Okay? we're getting the user to enter. Okay, and this is just our if-else statements, I guess, if you want to call it that. All right. And now we are going to return. This is now we're at the point for returning our efforts to the user, or whatever the medium is, right? Our medium is going to be the console, okay? It just depends, right? Here we're doing console applications. All right, so returning our efforts or our work to the back to the user, essentially. So standard cout. So now I'm gonna go after the if-else statement. If-else statements. Okay? Alright? ... And it will return the Z value, because what we're doing here is if this block is run, we're passing X into Z. I don't know if passing is the right word to use, but that's why I like using the term leapfrogging. We're leapfrogging one value that is stored into one variable into another variable. So they're both going to be equal, okay? I call it leapfrogging. So, I don't know, the industry can use that term. I'm cool with that. Just call it the I don't know what you would call it. Name it after me. WhiskeyTango. I don't know. You guys are smart. You'll figure it out. Okay. Now I clicked here and I can see my cursor went there. That's automatically telling me that I've done something wrong. I haven't really done anything wrong. I'm just missing vital information. All statements end with a semicolon. Okay. As soon as I hit enter, my cursor is going right in the correct spot. That's the program telling me everything's fine without even having to run anything. That's the great thing about this IDE. I love it. Okay, and I don't know. Oh yeah, we're returning Z to the console. Okay, and I could go like this. Okay, there we go. We could still have an enter out a variable, but after again, this is a cout. Okay, so you can continue. This is legal as well. But of course, you have to add in these extra overloaded operators to be able to do that. Okay, so you need the additional operators. Pay attention to the way syntax is written. Okay, guys and gals, it's very consistent. Okay, very consistent. Once you grind enough code, you'll know what comes next. All right, you just have to put in the time and grind code. Okay, so, but the other way, if I didn't want to do that, I could also do this, right? I'm just going to copy that. I already have a new line right there, so I could copy that in there. It's another way of doing it. So now this is returning whatever happens here through this. Okay, so now let's create this. Really trying to hurry up here. Okay, let's create this. I think this is important. I wanted to kind of go over this again because the ternary is such a nice thing. It's beautiful. All right, so let's do our ternary. Z is equal to, I've got an example right here, condition value. We are doing the value one. So we got to put in our comparison, right? It's kind of like when we're talking about logical operators, we're comparing one value to another, and we're going to do the exact same thing, right? The if statement and this has the exact same condition. Okay, now we put a question mark. Okay, the question mark kind of leads into an A or B situation. Is it going to be X first? If X is true, return X. If X is false, return Y. Okay, now I've actually said it correctly, right? If X is true or 1, wasn't trying to yell at you guys, or 1, right? Because 1 is true. If X is true, return X. Okay, otherwise, it's going to be a 0 situation, a false, right? Otherwise, false situation, return Y. Okay, that's essentially how it works. It's so great. I love it. It's nice and clean. One-lined. Again, you can one line with an if and else statements, but I've already explained, right? Industry standards, all those sort of things. If it's your own code at home, by all means, you can one line your if else statements. Okay? All right, so now let's returning our efforts. Again, right, we're returning our efforts back to the user, but this one here is for our, just to be clear, this is from our if else, and this is going to be from our ternary. Okay, just for clarity. Okay, so we're just going to return kind of exactly the same thing, except I'm going to just update this to say after our conditional test, I guess. It's kind of what they got. After because it's called conditional operator. So ternary is the name I think of it as. So after the conditional test, okay? So if you hear conditional test, just think ternary, all right, guys? And that's it. That's it. Okay, so now you have a good idea how the code how it works. Again, note that a program is executed line by line in the order it appears in your source code until a function is reached. We have no functions. Well, I do actually have functions. This is a function. And here I'm calling my function, but it's after everything. So, but this is still all line by line. Okay, all up here. Okay? No functions above. There's no functions. Okay, line by line. It'll go into the if else statements. If this is true, it returns this. Else, if this is false, it returns this. And then once it's done that decision making, it goes here and returns the value that's been put into Z. Okay? Again, we're going to be entering two different values. So, all right? In a nutshell, that's what it is. Let me build it. Okay, we didn't have any compile time errors. Just so you know what I'm talking about, I'll show you a quick example here. And I'll show this again to you guys and gals in the future when we talk about runtime and compile time and all that sort of good stuff. You have, when you run a program, you have things happening kind of magically under the hood, if you will, when you actually run. So you have pre-run time, compile time, if you will, and then you have runtime errors. So the compile time errors are kind of what you see ahead of time before you even run the program. okay? And then you could actually still have errors while it's running, okay? All right, let's build. Oh, we built it. Let's run it. Okay, user, please enter 2 whole numbers. You notice the console's waiting? That's another nice thing about the CN. Okay, it's a waiting for information. So I'm going to put 12. Second value, I'm just going to put 5. We'll keep it simple. Okay, after the if-else statement, Z is 12. After the conditional test, Z is also 12. Okay, so let me explain. Really, there's no change or no difference. What I'm showing here, guys and gals, is that the if-else does exactly what the ternary does. Okay, it's just it's just another way of writing line code. That's all it is. Just keep it. Yes, it's a new concept, right? Maybe that's why people get confused and scared off in that. You just gotta organize it in your head and go, oh, I just have other options. Really, that's all it is, right? You have options. So that's what the ternary conditional operator is. It's another option. So you have a choice. Maybe you like if-else statements, and that's all you want to do is just do if-else statements. Hey, by all means, have at it. You're not going to end up in if-else statement jail if you use too many if-else statements. Okay? I mean, I guess you could. There will be the nitpickers out there, the purists, right? If you get a little too crazy with your if-else statements, okay? You can nest them. I'm trying to keep it basic and easy over here while you guys are learning and growing, okay? Again, don't go too wild, okay? When you're doing code, guys, you always do like little bit. Do a little bit, run it and test it. If that works, continue. That's my recommendation. Don't write out a whole bunch of code and expect it to run. No. Nay. Nay. As my old friend, lady friend, Jerry used to say. Nay. Okay, so yeah. So that was kind of what I was showing here. You have a choice. You could use this or you could use this. Again, I have all these extra notes and stuff going on. Let me clean it up so you can see how much cleaner it is. Okay. I put them little comments so you guys knew, right? What is what. Okay, and I really don't need that anymore either. But whatever, okay? All right, look at that. Will you look at that? Will you look at that? It's beautiful. They're doing the exact same thing, right? The condition is exactly the same. Okay? And all that's happening is if this is true, we're just putting the value of X in the Z. Okay? If Y becomes true, then we're putting the value in the Z. We'll see if that works. Okay, let's test it. This time we're going to put 5 and 12. We'll switch it. Okay, we got the value 12 again, right? So we're always going to get the larger number. So in that case, Y was 12, right? So this time, I just have to get rid of this commercial, guys. Hang on. I always played this one video because I never had issues with commercials. Now I do. At least they're quiet commercials. They're not noisy, so I'm not canceling them. I'm not going to block them because I actually like them. They don't make any sound or noise. Good job, advertising. Those are the kind of commercials I like. No sound, nothing. Just pictures. Okay, guys? And that's how this is working, all right? Pretty easy, pretty straightforward, I hope. If you have any questions, just drop it in comments. Okay. So over the last couple of videos, you guys have learned what C++ statements and expressions are, what C++ operators do, and how C++ if statements work. You have seen that a block of statements enclosed by a pair of braces can be used anywhere a single statement can be used. You have learned that every expression evaluates to a value, and that value can be tested in an if statement or by using the conditional operator. You've also seen how to evaluate multiple statements using the logical operator, how to compare values using the relational operators, and how to assign values using the assignment operator. Again, the world's your oyster, guys and gals. It just depends on what you're doing. Use the right thing for what you're doing for your application or whatever is going on in that script. Okay? You have other options, all right? There's more than one option or way to tackle a problem. Again, you could have, let's say you have more conditions. So you can have, that's what the else if is. Okay, guys and gals? In case you have another condition, like let's say, let's say y is greater than, I don't know, it could be another variable, for example, right? Right? Let's say we had another hypothetical variable. Okay? Right? So in this case, I'm going to put h, right? So you got another condition going on, right? Maybe it's x you want to compare it to. All right? In this case, you would be going like this, right? You get it? You following along? Again, you're the line coder, you're the creator, you're the idealist. You're the one coming up with the ideas for whatever program or application you're creating. The world's your oyster. You make it work for whatever you want it to do, right? Test. Again, test little bits. Little bits. If you don't want to run a certain block of code, Control KC. And then you can run it. You got to highlight whatever you want to comment out. Highlight, Control KU. Now it's back. Control KC. Control KU. Quick tips and tricks for you guys and gals. WhiskeyTango sharp coding. All right, let's see. Going through the course outline, you've explored operator precedence, right? Remember we're talking about bedmass, pedmass type stuff and using brackets inside of brackets, logicals, right? Precedence sort of stuff, right? X is greater than Y type situation, or X is greater than H as an example. Okay? For a for loop or whatever you're doing. Again, this is where you would put your arguments, conditions, statements. It's all the same, guys and gals. Really, it just depends on what you're doing, right? They all have a little bit of a different name for whichever scenario you're working on or doing, okay? Okay, why use unnecessary parentheses when precedence will determine which operators are acted on first? Okay, here's the answer. It is true that the compiler will know the precedence and that a programmer can look up the precedence order Using parentheses, however, make your code easier to understand and therefore easier to maintain. It's very human readable when you have your code organized. Also, like for example, let's say you had a +8 or another variable, right? That's why another reason why you would use the bracket. Maybe you want the +8 to be added to y, right? Okay. Brackets lives matter. And I recommend you use them when you're working on mathematics problems. If you're doing long mathematical formulas or creating whatever, use your brackets, okay? Again, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I highly recommend. All right? If the relational operators always return true or false, why is any non-zero value considered true? Now take note on what I just said there. That statement is so important. Okay, I'm going to clean things up. I'm just going to clean this up. Okay, I'll keep my variables in case I need them. This statement that I just said, you got to put that in your head. Okay, this you need to remember. I'll just make this a little bit easier to read. Why are non-zero values considered true? Okay, so to be clear on that, anything other than 0, if it's not 0, then all non-zero values, right, are true. Okay, guys, that's important right there to remember. I'll capitalize this. Okay. Answer. This convention was inherited from the C language. Okay, nice. C language, awesome. Again, take note, guys and gals, you don't need to learn C language first before C++. Okay, as a heads up. C language actually has its own format or way code is written. There are different variations. The theory, yes, is the same. A lot of the theory is the same. But it's essentially like learning another language. Okay? Just to let you know. Pick a language, learn that language. If you want to move forward, like I've moved on to learning C# as well. If you could do C, you can learn C++. If you can learn C, you can learn C#. If you can learn C++, you can learn C#. Okay, and I think all the other languages are easier after that. Okay. For me, C++, I'm a strong believer. It goes deeper into the theory and understanding, and you learn more of what's happening under the hood. You're not just a robot NPC type coder, if you understand what I mean. Yes, I said that. Okay. So this convention was inherited from the C language, which was frequently used for writing low-level software, such as operating systems and real-time control software. C is still a great language. It really, truly is. It's a good, solid foundation. I don't know. I don't want to go off topic, but I think yeah. Like I mean, it's the OG original. You know, it's the original gangster. Truly is. Okay, I mean there's basic and all that too, right? They're the OGs. All right, let's be clear. Okay, it is likely that this usage evolved as a shortcut for testing if all of the bits in a mask or variable are 0. Okay, when I hear the word mask, all of a sudden I start thinking subnetting. That's wild. Stay tuned for the program I'm working on, guys. I'll share that with you when I get it done. It's just been busy over here lately. I haven't been able to work on it much this week. The relational operators return true or false, but every expression returns a value. And those values can be also, I'll read that again. But every expression returns a value. And those values can also be evaluated in an if statement. Here's an example. If, I'm just going to put the curly brackets, why not? And then we're going to use what I call brackets, organizational brackets. Okay? I call them organizational brackets. Now, when we've been learning, guys, okay, these are for our arguments, right? Or conditions, right? I'm just trying to use the right verbiage, okay? Here you cannot this is initializing, well, it's already declared, okay, and this is initializing, but we're actually reinitializing, okay? I'm getting squiggly lines here, okay? Take note. You cannot reassign a value to a variable inside your argument or condition brackets. That makes sense? You have to do it outside. Okay? Before it. Use what are called, let's see if I can find that section. I shouldn't have to go over this, but I'll show it anyways. Hopefully you've been following the series. Inside those brackets in our ifs where we do our conditions, you use your comparison operators. Okay, the equal is assigning. It's an assigning operator. Okay, that's hence why it's called an assignment operator, guys. Right? So we say equals twos equals twos. Okay, makes sense? Now, with that said, I wanted to just kind of throw that out there. But let's go here. I'm going to use my nice, clean organizational brackets, because that's what these two are here that I just created. These two here are condition brackets, okay? Inside, I'm using organizational brackets now, okay? For organizing. If X, so here, apparently you could do this. I haven't done this much myself, but apparently this is actually legal. That's why I actually brought that other stuff up. So we're actually doing a calculation here inside, and we're going to compare it. Notes, I'm using my I want to throw out the right terminology here. What? Logical? No. Comparison operators. Okay, just want to make sure I'm using the right lingo. I mean, for me, I know what they do. I type stuff. I know what they are. I know what they do. It's kind of like a car. Okay, you can run and operate a car without not having to understand how an engine works, right? So, but I also recommend, I think you should kind of have a good idea how an engine works, especially, checking oil and stuff. That's kind of important. But let's continue. So I'm going to hard code a value. I guess you could call it hard coding. Normally we would use a symbolic constant, right? You have the two types. You have the literal constant. So for example, what we have here is a literal constant, right here. And then you have the symbolic type. So x is essentially the symbolic type. You would use, maybe I'll just give you another name here. I'm just gonna go like that, right? Just some random name. Okay, they say the hardest thing to come up with is your variables. Okay, let's say that's equal to 35. So this is what I mean by symbolic. Hopefully, you guys should be watching and following the series. But I'll share that tidbit of information again. Again, if you're just dropping by and checking it out and you want to learn the language, I recommend you follow the series, guys and gals, because that's what I'm doing over here. Step by step, we're kind of climbing stairs here. Okay? I'll reshare information and knowledge again, but I'm not going to do it all the time, okay? All right, so there you go. I'm just going to undo all that because now you understand, right? Okay, so let's continue. The relational operators return true or false, but every expression returns a value. Am I in the right spot? Yeah. And those values can be evaluated in an if statement. Here's an example, right? So we're kind of doing a calculation here. So we take two values, a plus b. The reason the program is like that is because what I need to do is actually use... I'm going to go like this and like this. Okay. Why do I keep doing that? There. Okay, we should be good. All right. No, the code's not broken there, guys. You notice there's a comma separator. All I did was drop this from being there to here. It's technically still inline. I'm doing that just for clarity. Okay, so yeah, well, I was expecting that. So I want to go like this. I'm going to use H and I, okay? Just to, so my variables are, the right color. Okay, so you can do that, which is cool. And note we're inside a set of brackets too, right? So you can do a calculation. We're not really assigning 8 to x, right? We're not doing that. We're doing actual calculation here. That's kind of the difference. So this is perfectly legal C++ statement. It evaluates to a value even if the sum of x or h and I is not equal to 35, or x is not equal to 35. You get the idea, right? We haven't assigned any values. Of course, I could assign values. X shouldn't even be there. I should go, whoops. Instead of X, I'm going to go H, and then I'm going to go I, and let's say it's 10, right? Obviously, we could see that 8 plus 10 is not equal to X. And then let's say X is 35, just so it makes more sense to you guys, okay? Okay, this is just as an example, right? These values are hard coded. Take note of that, right? We can obviously see that it's never going to be true, right? So the way to change those values is either through more further calculations or formulas, right? Or user prompts. You should know what I mean by that. Okay, that's how you change values. And then you can compare those values through code, right? All right, so also note that X is assigned the value that is the sum of H and I in any case. Anyways, I'll carry on. So you get the idea. What effect do tabs, spaces, and new lines have in a program? Well, you've seen that in standard CO. I believe I've gone over that. You obviously know what a new line is, right? The escape character. Well, you can use T for tab, and you could actually, so what would happen in console, let's say, I'm just going to put, let's say you're returning a string to the console, okay? And normally it would be in quotations. Let's say that what you have in quotations is called name variable, right? The tab is obviously a tab, right? You can see I'm tabbing. It's the same. So if I go like this, name variable, and then tab, but let's say I'm not doing the tab there. Let's say it's name variable, and then I'm just gonna use X for an example, okay? And then I could actually have a tab. Yeah, no, I did that wrong. Okay, I'm gonna end it with X. Just start thinking about this. Let me do this quickly. Throw in a new line just for fun. Okay, I'm gonna get rid of this, and I would put the tab right here. So you'll see, let's cut this out. We'll put that there, and I'm just gonna hard code the values. I'm gonna say 25. Okay, so we know for a fact that X should equal to that, and it'll return it, right? You guys can see that, right? So I'm going to build it, run it, and you can see right there. Okay, so that's how you answer that question. You can see there's a tab there. I don't know how many, 1, 2, 3. I don't know, I guess it tabs 3 spaces, but you get the idea. What does spaces do? Well, if we're talking about white space and all that, all this space here has nothing to do with, it's whatever code you're typing. This is all the user space. Okay? If I ran this, it's not going to print out all of this empty space. It's just not. Okay? You can see that. Clearly see that. Okay? In order to do that, you would have to do something wild like this. Okay? And I think you would have to be an insane person to do this. What the hay for horses did I do there? Okay? You'd have to be insane. And if somebody's seen that in your code, they would probably fire you. Okay? And that's how you would create all that space in the console. Okay? Alright? Don't get yourself fired, guys. Alright? I don't want to see that happen. And so, yeah, that's kind of the difference, right? And you obviously know what new line does. We've talked about that lots. Tab spaces and new lines, known as white space, have no effect on the program, although judicious use of white space can make the program easier to read. And yeah, you want to add enters and new lines and stuff, right? Because you're making it easier for the user to read, right? You don't want to have like, let's say I didn't tab, and let's say I printed, check this out. Let's say I did something like this after, with no enters, no spaces. Let me show you as an example. Okay, it can get ugly. All right, so I'm just going to do that, and then I'm going to run it. I'll just use standard end line for now, whatever. I don't know what it is. It's faster for me to type. Okay, standard end line is actually faster to type than it is this stuff. Okay, so you can see how no spaces and no tabbing. Like, look at that, right? It's just, you look at it and your brain almost breaks a little bit just trying to read that. Okay, makes sense? You have to do, I guess you're essentially being an editor too, right? You, maybe did an essay or something. I don't know what to use for an example. Proper editing etiquette. There we go. Are negative numbers true or false? Ah, see, that's why I brought this up. Okay. Right here. If it's not 0, then all non-zero values are true. Okay? So check this out. Watch. Let me just go undo here, actually. I'll bring this stuff back. And I'm just going to get rid of this. Instead of comparing it, I'm going to go like this. Okay? Just so you can see. I'm using a standard int, so I can have a negative. Okay, and I'm going to make h is going to stay as 0, so I'm just going to delete that. So you can clearly see, so there's a few different ways you could do this, and this isn't something that is, let me just say this, don't. Okay, don't just put 0. Okay, I'm just going to tell you. Don't do that. Don't do that. Okay, that's not proper. It's not professional. I'll just say that. Okay, don't do this. Just put a variable. Don't do that. And it doesn't matter if it's H or I. Okay, do this though. H is equal to 0. If H is equal to 0, do that. Else, do something else. Okay? Inside your string literal, always use that. Don't get it. It's not necessary to do this. It's just extra redundant typing that is really not necessary. It's cleaner and it's less typing for you as well. Oh, what? Oh, right. It's an Andel. Okay. So the time that you would use this is if you're returning a variable, right? That's when you use it. You notice the overloaded operators before and after, okay? If it's just a string literal, then place your new line inside your string, okay? I could have did the same thing here as well, right? But I was just showing you that for an example. Okay, so let's run. I'm going to actually clean this up and go like this. I'm just going to put... Okay, there we go. You can see the difference now, right, guys? I'm going to build it, run it. So if h is equal to 0, well, you just from experience and learning so far, you guys should already know which one's going to run. Okay, logically, right? You already know. Boom. Name variable is 0. Okay, and I could have changed it to h, right? That's what it should be. Right? We're returning h. Okay, and I'm just going to control F it, and it'll run. It'll build itself. Okay? So that's the proper way. And it'll run too. If I just put 0, it'll do the exact same. Actually, that's incorrect. Because, sorry guys. Didn't mean to steer you wrong. Because this is actually true, right? So that equals a 1. A 1 is a true, right? True is a 1 value. And just think computer binary bits and bytes, right? On, off, on, off. That's the way I look at it, right? If it's not true, it's off, right? If it's true, it's on. If it's not true, it's off. On, off, on, off. Okay? This is actually true. That's why it printed this. Okay? Did I talk about knots, guys? I hope so. I'll have to make sure I talk about knots. I'll just bring it up quickly. I'm pretty sure I talked about it before. But it's also a comparison operator. Exclamation point is not equal. That's what it means, right? Not equal to. I have to finish up here, guys. Whoops. All right. Okay. So now that I put not equal to, you should know, right? So I'm going to build it, run it. It should be the else that runs, right? Now we're doing something else. Okay, because this is now false, right? Because h is equal to 0. Even though it doesn't look like it, that's actually initializing the 0. I think under the hood with the, not under the hood, but in the code behind, they may have done something in the new standard. I'm not sure. I haven't read it into it much. But prior, maybe the older standards, prior it used to store garbage, right? And yeah, that's why we kind of had to learn how to initialize values. Values needed to be initialized. It didn't matter if they're public or private. Okay, and we'll talk about public, private when we get into classes. Okay, so check this out. So that I wanted to show that, but if I put I, which is, again, I don't recommend it. Okay, but basically, if I put I there, it's the same as me putting -1. Okay, so I'm going to run it. And here's the statement. If it's not 0, then all non-zero values are true. Okay? Build and run. See? And it returns h is 0. Because it's returning what we're asking it to return. We're telling it to print out h. Well, actually x. As a matter of fact, you guys are probably wondering, what is he doing? See, that's why when you copy and paste, you got to pay attention to your code. It's easy. That was an oversight. That's what that was, guys. Okay, but x is still 0 too, so it didn't matter. But you would get the correct answer, you would see, but see how easy it is to overlook something? And then you'll go through all your code. Imagine you have 1,000 lines of code. You have to figure out where your bug is, right? And it could be something as simple as a variable, the wrong variable being used, okay? That's why it's not recommended to copy and paste. So we're actually using the actual variable. They recommend you type it. That way you're guaranteed to type the correct variable. Okay, that's the main point about that. Okay, guys? So if I put I, and which is not recommended, but it'll do the exact same thing. Okay, you're not supposed to just put a variable like that. But it would be true, right? It's a non-value. So even values that are less than 0, right? Integer grid, guys, gals. Mathematics 101. Do I have this somewhere? Do I have a mathematics section? Whoops. Okay, it's not that. I'm looking for documents, I think. Yeah. Let's see if I can find it. I have a mathematics section. It should be in here. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Integer grid. It's something that I printed up or made up. I'm just gonna rotate it here first before I show it to you. Okay. What the? Oh, there we go. Actually worked, right? You should know your integer number line. Line up the zeros. I just set it up where you could just cut the piece of paper. You could print it, cut it, and then line up your zeros. Right? You could screenshot this, print it off if you need it for math. It's free open use just for you because I'm awesome that way. I do also mathematics videos on YouTube. I need to do more, but I love math. I just love I love numbers. I do. Okay? So all non-zero. So 0 is the only time. Okay? I'm just sharing that with you. Okay? But I would actually put if I is equal to -1. Hold up. Equal to. Silly me. There we go. If I is equal to -1, it'll print. Okay? Of course, I don't have the right information here, right? I would probably print I, right? Or return I to the user. Some problems here for you guys and gals to go over. I'll leave you some stuff for fun. Just for fun, okay? I'm not gonna go over it, but you could do this. What is an expression? Okay, there's one question. Let's just find it. I have the answer for that. I'll bring that up. See if I can find it here. I have to finish up. I got like 5-10 minutes here. Expression, where are you? Oh, we're getting close. I have the definition here somewhere. Man, we've been through a lot of stuff, huh, guys? Hold up. Did I, pass it and stuff? Here we go. Okay, here we go. Expressions. Okay. Here we go. Okay, so I'm going to actually go like this. Like that. I'm going to create a multi-line just so I can paste that. I'll cut this out. I'll paste that there. And there you go. There's your answer. Okay. There. That's good enough. Okay. Okay, what is an expression? Anything that evaluates to a value is an expression in C++. An expression is said to return a value. Okay? Returns a value. Like, for example, 3.2, returns a value. Pi, returns a value, okay? Literal constants, okay? And on and on and on. Let's get back to where I was. We're finishing up this section, guys and gals, and then we're going to get into functions. So stay tuned. It's going to be great. All right. So here's some stuff for you. I'm just going to copy and paste it. You can run the code. Hopefully, again, there's other IDEs out there, guys and gals. You can choose whichever IDE that you want. Okay, Visual Studio is an IDE, in case you're wondering what I meant. All right, and then we have this. Okay. Okay, I want you to do that. Evaluate 201 divided by 4. Just create some variables and, try to get the answer in your head. Like, what are we trying to ask here, right? And then, so, again, remember, here's the tip. Data types, okay? Data types, okay? Note, what's your answer going to be? Think about what your answer is going to be. We haven't gotten into a lot of data types, but yeah, I have a little bit. Let me just bring this up. Okay. If I zoom this up, does it help? I kind of screenshot that. But you have float and doubles, which are floating point values. A floating point value would be right? In case I right, or I could use double. Here I would put F, or I could use a double. Okay, those are your other types. Which one is less? Double takes 8 bytes of memory. Float only takes 4. Okay, with a double, with a float, you could put the F. Okay, just use float, okay? Just as a tip, right? Because if you're just getting, now, okay, your return, I'm just going to give you a heads up, your return's going to be a whole number, okay? What are you going to do so that you can actually get a floating point return, okay? That's my tip. All right, and then we got, right, this one is modulo, right? Remember, think remainder. All right, think remainder. Here's another cool one. I should actually go over these. I'm going to try to go over them next video, but I want to get straight into whoops. Right, run this in code. Whoops. Okay. Run that in code and see what happens. And try to understand what's happening. You actually want to declare this. Okay. And you're going to have to declare A and B. Your variables are your choice. It could be X and Y. It could be, whoops. It could be, I don't know, R and S. Or it could be Ricky or Bobby. Okay? Variables are what you create. Okay, I'm just going to let you know this is, if you've been following the series, you'll know what these are, right? And these are post, this is pre. There's something magical that's happening in between. Try to figure out what that is. Okay, and then we got this. I'll just give you some examples just to practice and have fun with. Okay, what is that? All right, run that. I'm just gonna let you know because it's pretty basic, simple. It's pretty basic, simple what we have there. You don't really need what I call organizational brackets. Okay, remember these are, you could put them inside an if statement, right? Whenever you have that situation, use organizational brackets. But then you can also do the same thing if you're just adding this to a variable, like for example x equals, and then returning x, right? The longer it is, maybe you have a +5, right? Maybe you want this to be multiplied before that. Okay, that's where it's now a situation where you want to use organizational brackets. Right now, key point here is the compiler follows bedmass rules. Okay, they apply. Wow, I cannot type. Okay, I gotta finish up. And then I'll just call this the last one. Actually, one more after. Okay. All right, there we go. Okay, I'm just gonna separate it so it's easy to see. And then here we go. Let's go like this. Okay, there you go. Okay, do the following values, evaluate true or false. Write code to test that. And you can use hint. There you go, there's your hint. Okay. There's your hint. Okay? Create your own variables. I believe in you. And that's it. I appreciate you guys and gals watching. Hopefully you were able to learn stuffs. Yeah, hopefully you're able to, just kind of thinking here. I'm three-dimensional thinking right now. Control Home, Shift, and Control Shift S. There we go. All right. Johnny with Whiskey Tango Sharp Coding. Here to help. Here to help you grow and to learn. The goal is to, man, it feels good inside that I'm able to help you guys learn this. That's all I'm going to say, man. I really hope I am. Okay, it's great to have you. Again, Johnny Whiskey Tango Sharp. I know it's long for me to say that. I don't know why I came up with that long name. I just did. Again, I appreciate every single one of you, brothers, sisters. Much love. I'll see you guys in the next video. Stay tuned for functions coming up next. Let's go! Much love, whoever you are, wherever you are. Have a great rest of your day, evening, night. Johnny for now saying peace out, guys. Take care. And peace!